Ukami Fuyuko, also nicknamed the Wolf Girl, is sipping on a box of juice on her way home from school when she notices Makiba sitting alone on a staircase, looking off into the distance as he usually does. Seeing him like this, she goes down to ask what could he possibly be doing in a place like this by himself, thinking that he was just going through his usual routine of spacing out. But today is a little bit different. Today's sun and breeze are especially nice, so he's decided to spend some time sunbathing. He asks Ukami if she'd like to join him on his sunbasking session, saying it's a surprisingly pleasant feeling. Putting on an indifferent look, she accepts. But contrary to her exterior, she was eagerly hoping for a basking invitation from him, the boy she loves. She sits down beside him with a slight blush on her face, thinking to herself that right now it's just the two of them alone, sitting together enjoying the warmth of the sun and each other's company. He asks her if she's feeling more refreshed from the sun, but for Ukami, just the sole presence of Makiba is enough to make her feel great. The sun is just an added bonus. He then goes on to say that he has a dream. His dream is to live in a house with a veranda in the future. That way he can spend his time basking in the sun like this whenever he wants to. Curious, he then asks Ukami if she has any dreams of her own that she'd like to see come true someday. After a few seconds, she says that she's never really given much thought to such things. But Ukami actually has a few very clear-cut dreams in mind, all of which include Makiba. First, she wants to become Makiba's wife. This way she can be with him all the time, like when he's working from home. She also wants to be able to spend her time with him, going shopping or on vacations together on their days off. On top of that, she wants to have 2 kids with him, a daughter and a son. That way they can have 2 miniature versions of themselves running around. But she stops herself from daydreaming, realizing that she's left Makiba on hold while she went down the list of dreams in her head. She tries thinking of something to say to not seem boring, but right as she turns to Makiba, she sees him with his eyes closed, relaxed, enjoying the pleasant breeze going around. She realizes that while she does enjoy talking to him, and he seems to enjoy talking to her, the thing they like the most is each other's presence, which only solidifies her dreams of being together with him. She lets him know that this experience wasn't that bad, which prompts Makiba to suggest that they should sunbathe again the next time they catch an opportunity like this. Ukami obviously accepts, wagging her cute wolf tail out of anticipation. Ukami is getting a drink at the school vending machine. She all of a sudden hears someone calling her name, and a hand popping out from behind the very vending machine she is using. It's her friend and ex-desk mate Sumika. Ukami asks what could she possibly be doing behind a vending machine, at which she responds that she was pretending to be a delinquent by sitting there and maybe skipping their next class altogether. In that case, Ukami lets her know that if she's actually going to skip, then it's not called pretending anymore. That would make her a full-blown delinquent. Nonetheless, Sumika invites her to take a seat next to her. That way they can share the delinquent experience together. She grumbles a bit, but ultimately decides to humor her for a little while. Sumika looks at Ukami and says that she loves the way she always complains about stuff, but in the end she gives in and goes with the flow. Out of nowhere, Sumika clings around her arm and puts her head on Ukami's shoulder, saying that sometimes she just gets tired of it all and just wants to hug someone, like her argument being that touching other people releases oxytocin, which relieves stress. But Ukami, being the reserved person she is, says that she doesn't like skinship and being clung to. Disappointed, her friend lets her go. But Ukami says that if hugging is going to ultimately get her to class, then it's fine just this one time. Seeing this rare opportunity, Sumika shoots her shot and jokingly asks Ukami to go out with her. But Ukami swiftly rejects her. Ukami's heart is with Makiba after all. Just then, Makiba walks in with Momori, one of his friends, and asks what the 2 girls are up to. Sumika says that the 2 of them are in the process of becoming delinquents. Makiba, never having tried that before, instantly says that he also wants to try being one. He sits down next to Ukami, pressing his shoulder against hers while crammed in that tight space. Ukami's heart starts beating really loudly, and her cheeks turn a beet red, while at the same time the earlier words of Sumika about the release of oxytocin are ringing through her head, something that she just found out firsthand right now. Sadly, Ukami's excitement is short-lived. The bell rings, and while trying the outlaw life was interesting for Makiba, he is not cut out for it. He gets up and remembers that he still has to prepare for the next class. So he goes on ahead with Mamori. Ukami's shoulder buddy is now gone, but the feeling still remains, which gives her the energy required for the upcoming class and a cute tail wag as an added bonus. Ukami and Makiba have both arrived in class, and he lets her know that today they are both on class duty. Ukami looks at him and says that she completely forgot about that fact. For once, the roles have reversed, and Ukami seems to be the one who forgot something important. But once again, she was trying to feign indifference. She was looking forward to this day for over a week, being paired up with the boy she loves for class duty. For today, they have to give the class commands, wipe down the board, write in the class log, and then they have some miscellaneous tasks left. Ukami takes the class log. Makiba says he'll do the class commands, and the rest they can both do together. The class begins, and the teacher has brought back the notebooks he's graded. He calls Makiba to fetch them and give them back to the class. Fast forward to the next class, and the teacher again calls Makiba to distribute some handouts. Multiple classes pass, and the only person that ever gets called by the teachers is Makiba. Once all the classes are done and all the students have left, Makiba suggests that they should wipe down the board together, but Ukami says that she should do it by herself, apologizing that he had to be paired up with her. Confused, Makiba asks why she would say that. Ukami's excitement seems to have vanished, leaving her feeling bad because Makiba was the only one who got called by the teachers today. She thinks that it's because of her looks that people think she's unfriendly and unapproachable. But Makiba doesn't agree with that. He couldn't think of any reason why someone would think Ukami would be unfriendly, saying that she's in fact really nice and easy to talk to. This sudden confession leaves Ukami a bit flustered, telling him that he must be a strange one to think that. They finish up with the board and leave the classroom together, while talking about Ukami's remark. She says that while he is strange, she means it in a good way. It's a rainy day, and Ukami has just arrived at school. While drying her umbrella from behind her, out pops Sumika wet as a dog. The rain got her on the way to school because she left her spare umbrella in her school locker. Seeing her in this sad state, Ukami gives her a towel to dry herself off, and her gym jersey to change into so she doesn't catch a cold. Just before leaving to change, though, Sumika jokingly asks Ukami if seeing her wet like this doesn't make her sexier than usual. But Ukami is not in the mood to play along and just says that it makes her more of an idiot because she forgot her umbrella. She sits down at her desk, and just then Makiba walks in completely drenched. He also got caught in the rain on his way to school because he forgot his umbrella at home. Instantly, Ukami questions giving her jersey to Sumika earlier because if she had it now, she could offer it to Makiba. But Mamori comes to the rescue and gives Makiba his own jersey, a towel, and even a hot bottle of tea. Makiba then asks Mamori if being wet from the rain doesn't make him twice as sexy as usual, but Mamori just calls him dumb and flat out leaves. Makiba puts his stuff on his desk, and seeing as he had no luck with Mamori, he turns to Ukami and asks what she thinks. Ukami, a bit startled, works up the courage to look up at him and let him know that she does, in fact, think he looks sexy. He gives her the thumbs up, saying how he knew she would get it, and leaves to get changed. Ukami was beaming with excitement seeing Makiba like this. Truly a rare opportunity for her. Today, Ukami's class has cooking practice, and luck has it that she, Makiba, along with the usual suspects, are in the same group. Not only is this a chance for Ukami to be around Makiba, but she also has the opportunity to showcase her skills to him and win over his stomach. She is beyond ecstatic at this idea, plus the fact that she's going to be cooking alongside him. They are sitting beside each other, and Ukami says that she should peel the potatoes and he should cut them up. Seeing his apparent confidence, she asks Makiba if he cooks a lot while at home, but he says that he doesn't do that at all. His overconfidence comes from the fact that he's been reading a lot of cooking manga recently, so he's more than sure that he can do it. But cooking seems to be harder than it looks. He clumsily chops up some veggies and ends up with a cut on his finger. Ukami immediately comes to the rescue and nurses Makiba's finger back to health, not wanting to see him hurt. Mamori looks at the cut veggies and says that there's no consistency at all with how they look, prompting Makiba to take the blame for them, saying how he should not lash out at Ukami, even though Mamori was referring to Makiba from the very beginning. Seeing as how these two can't cook, Ukami takes the lead and showcases her cooking prowess, chopping, dicing, and preparing a delicious meal for their group, but especially for Makiba. He takes one bite and is left amazed at how good Ukami's cooking is, saying how he could keep eating her cooking for the rest of his life without ever getting bored of it. Upon hearing this, Ukami tries putting on a cool facade, but she's in fact overjoyed at Makiba's compliment and at how close that idea sounds to marriage, preparing delicious meals for him every day. In the end, her plan to win over Makiba's stomach worked, and her little tail wag comes out once again. Classes are over and Ukami hasn't yet gotten up and is still looking on her phone, when all of a sudden Sumika notices that she's there and approaches her. She says how it's pretty rare to see Ukami stay even a second after class, but Ukami says that she's waiting for Rinka, one of their friends. Rinka invited Ukami to Starbucks after class. This information comes as a bit of a shock to Sumika, because no one invited her. Ukami casually asks her if she'd like to tag along, but Sumika throws a tantrum because she'd like a proper invitation. She doesn't just want to be an afterthought. In that case, Ukami stares her down and wishes her a safe journey on her way home. While thinking what they should get from Starbucks, they overhear two other girls talking about the boys in their class. They say that Mamori is kind of hot, but he's also a bit scary to approach. Sumika tries pestering Ukami into also talking about love with her sometimes, but Ukami says that she couldn't care less about that stuff. Plus, she shouldn't snoop on other people's conversations. One of the girls then asks about Makiba. Instantly, Ukami forgets everything she's just said and drops everything she was doing just to hear what they have to say about the boy she loves. The girls say how he's easy to talk to and seems like a pretty nice guy to be around. Upon hearing this, Ukami starts worrying that maybe there are other girls in class that are aiming for Makiba, something that hasn't popped up in her head before. But then they follow that up by saying that even though he's nice, they can't imagine anyone ever falling for him, since he's like a little child that has no chill and is also pretty forgetful, which makes him look unreliable. Now, Ukami's previous worries have suddenly turned to anger, because people are bad-mouthing her dear Makiba. Right then, Makiba pops out, with Rinka by his side, and says that he's heard everything the girls just said about him, prompting the two girls to take off. Makiba then comes up to the trio and asks if he really is as charmless as those girls make him out to be. Rinka exercises her right to remain silent, while Sumika just tells him to not let it get to him. Rinka takes pity on him and invites him to come to Starbucks with them. That way he can cheer up a little. While on their way out, Ukami stops Makiba and tells him that even though the others said what they said, she thinks that he is pretty charming. Makiba thanks her, saying that'll definitely boost his confidence, while Ukami is busy hiding her blushing cheeks from Makiba using her mask and wagging her cute tail.